Morning, YouTube. Spirit Smoker here. Today is Christmas Eve's day. I'll be working tomorrow, so I'm making this video today. I hope you're all well and healthy and happy. Pretty soon here I should be joined by my sweetheart. She's upstairs getting herself a cup of coffee. Different venue today. I'm house sitting for my parents while they're out of town, visiting family for Christmas. As I said, I'm working tomorrow and I wasn't able to get the time off to join them, unfortunately. So I'm enjoying some Christmas music and having a pipe. This is a Sutliff mulled wine blend with a little sprinkle of Foursquare English, just to kind of give it a little depth. Otherwise it's an extremely sweet blend, and a very wet one as well. I have it drying out right now for later smokes. I'm smoking that in my Stanwell Hans Christian Andersen pipe. This is a quintessential Christmas pipe for me, both because it was a Christmas gift from my parents a few years ago, and also because I think this is actually the Christmas pipe from them. Just sitting here enjoying it, thinking of Christmases of the past and what this Christmas will hold, and Christmases of the future. So I've got the Christmas Carol ghosts in my head, I suppose. When I was a kid, Christmas was always a good time of year, and it still is today. Obviously, when you believe in Santa Claus and everything, it's very magical. There's always just so much joy, both with, not having school, of course, and wondering what St. Nick will bring you and that kind of thing, and we always had a very blessed Christmas. A couple of years ago, we celebrated Christmas with my grandparents, and my grandfather was telling us about Christmases that he had growing up. Consider your speeds. And okay.
No.
And how they didn't have much, and his aunt had some money because she actually ran an underground bar during the Prohibition. So she had quite a bit of money. And so she would bring over toys and everything. We noticed that he kept kind of digging through his boxes and everything, and we're like, no, that's it, that's all that's in there. And he explained that when he was a kid, one of the years that his aunt was out of town and wasn't able to do much for them, he got just a few small gifts, and the big gift that he got was a football. He was very happy about having the football. But he had put it away back in its box because they were going to have Christmas dinner. And then after Christmas dinner, his dad started kind of tossing the wrappings and stuff like that in the fire to get rid of them, and accidentally threw his box with the football still inside it in the fire, and it got destroyed, and that just crushed him. So to this day, he still just goes through each and every box before it, before it goes away, just to make sure it doesn't have anything left in there. And now he's a very successful man. So it's definitely one of those American dream stories for sure. But I always had a wonderful Christmas growing up. We were very lucky, and even these days we're still very, very blessed for what we have. And it's definitely a time of year to think of those less fortunate. It's an important part of this season, I think, is taking that into consideration and, putting them in our prayers. Maybe doing something a little extra for a homeless shelter or something like that. As I said, we'll probably be celebrating our Christmas right around the 29th this year. Should be a very good Christmas. It's always a good Christmas if everyone's happy and healthy and, doing well for themselves. This year's a good Christmas for me just because last year, this time, I did not have a job. So it's automatically more blessed for me. And I hope many others are blessed with that same gift. As far as Christmases of the future, well, there's a new house, right? So hopefully we'll be able to use that for Christmases in the future. Hopefully we'll be able to celebrate next year, let's hope, as a married couple. And then beyond that, who knows? It's part of the fun part of Christmas, thinking about, eventually, when you're young, Christmas is, like I said, very magical. As you get older, it becomes a little bit more stressful than magical. But my dad always told me that, when I was a kid, my brother and I were little, watching our reaction on Christmas morning was something that really brought back that magical time of year for him. He had an interesting tradition around Christmas time. I believe it's December 5th or 6th. I think it's 6th. That's St. Nicholas, the Feast of St. Nicholas. And there was a guy that lived in their neighborhood that was a very Catholic area. And there was a man that worked at the grocery store in town. Great big man with a big white beard. And he would dress up as Santa Claus, as Saint Nick. And parents would go to the grocery store and they would pay him, they'd give him a little list of things and they'd give him money, and he would basically go and get these small gifts And so on December 6th, I think it is, he would go to their houses, and my dad remembers just sitting there as a kid, and all of a sudden, bang, 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 on the door, and he said it was so loud it'd scare the crap out of you. They'd look at the door, and there's this big, great man in a, dressed just like Saint Nick. So they'd go to the door, and he would come in, and he would have small toys, nothing crazy. But also he would have apples and oranges and fruit, which back then was a huge treat because you couldn't get those kinds of things that time of year because they weren't in season. And when you could get them, the shipping was so expensive because they were coming from places like California where they could grow that kind of thing all year long. So it's a really big deal for them to get that kind of thing. And you would warn them all to be very, very good so that on Christmas he would come back and bring them some gifts. So my dad's up celebrating Christmas with his side of the family this year. And they have a couple different traditions. Lately it's been a box within a box within a box within a box within a box. And they're all wrapped very, very difficultly with duct tape or saran wrap or this, that, or the other thing. And they roll some dice, and if you roll certain numbers, you have to put on these mittens that my great-grandmother made out of my great-grandfather's old, I think, out of his old Navy jacket. This heavy, heavy wool. You have to put on this big parka, and you have to put on a hat, and you have to put on a scarf, and you have to go and you have to try to open the next, you have to go where the last person left off. And then until someone rolls those next numbers, you're stuck doing that with no fingers available to you, trying to break through this box. And then, it keeps rotating, and then whoever gets the last little gift, it often doesn't mean anything. There's really not anything super special in there, but it's whoever wins that gets to keep it, and they get to the other part of it is that person has to wrap the gift for next year. So sometimes they have quite a chore ahead of them, depending on who it is. My dad was one of 7, so they've got a very, very large family. Most of them show up for Christmas Eve, and that amounts to almost 50 people now. Actually, now probably right around 50 people with all their great grandkids. So actually, yeah, great grandkids. So they're going to have a fun time this year for sure, and they're actually going to probably be doing that tonight. And then all the individual families will have their Christmases tomorrow morning, just like most other people do. So we're going to enjoy our Christmas Eve day, watch some Christmas movies, and have a nice fire, I think. Finish off a couple more pipes. Enjoy that. And I hope you all have a Merry Christmas. Be safe. I hope you get exactly what you asked from Santa. Merry Christmas, all.